Hey guys, love the game, love the rip here, and I have a video for you guys today. It's going to be a little bit different than what I've normally been doing where I open cards. When I first started, or as you all know, I have been collecting football cards for the past few months. And when I first started, there was a lot of obstacles that I had to overcome. And one of those was figuring out what kind of supplies you would need in order to actually be a hobby collector. And the way I look at it is there are 3 stages of the hobby. And this goes for any hobby, in my opinion, is you have the beginning stage where you're first starting out, you first start opening, and you get all these cards and they're all really cool to you, and you want to be a collector, and you know you want to be a collector. So the first stage is, I call it the beginning stage. And it's just where you have that basic set of cards and you want to make collections. And so today I have the first set of supplies that most beginners would need to start their collections for any hobby that they have. So I have today a limited pack that I will be opening on camera, and I'm going to be using this as an example for sleeves, and that's basically what the beginning stage will be. So these sleeves are pretty cool. They basically keep your cards protected so that you don't get fingerprints on your cards, and they make you feel more like a beginning collector. So I'll be going over the prices of these. So you have your normal card sleeves here, and then you have your thicker card sleeves. Your normal card sleeves will basically be for your thin cards, your base cards, anything that is pretty thin. And then your thick cards are for your memorabilia cards, like your jersey patches and stuff like that. So the thin card sleeves, you can get them in packs of, I've seen hundreds, I've seen thousands, and I buy them in packs of 10,000. I buy like the pack of 10,000 for like $65 on Amazon, and then the pack of 1,000, they're around $10, pack of 100 around $1. And then for the thick sleeves, I find them in packs of 100 or packs of 1,000, or just packs of 100 actually. I don't think I ever found any in packs of 1,000, but the 100 packs are about $2. And then there are some booklet sleeves. I don't have any of those on hand today, and they come in packs of 100 for like $8. So what I'm going to be doing is just using this pack as an example, and I'm going to be putting all these cards in card sleeves according to which sleeve they go in. So I'm going to open this pack for you guys, and we'll get them all sleeved up. All right. So we got Terrell Williams, Nick Foles, and then we have an on-card autograph of Irv Smith Jr. here. That one's out of 75. And then we have a Tyreek Hill and a Josh Allen. All right, so here we have all of our cards, and what I basically do is after each video, I will go and I will sleeve all of my rookie cards, all of my insert cards, and if the base card is pretty valuable to me, I will usually go and sleeve those. So I'm going to go through here and I'm going to sleeve all these cards just for example. And the goal of this is to basically not touch to basically get the minimal amount of fingerprints on your cards, because collectors look for cards that are in mint condition. So all those cards went into thin card sleeves. And then this one right here, this Irv Smith that I pulled here, which is actually pretty sick in my opinion, is going to go right into a thick card sleeve because it will not fit in a thin one. And another thing that I've learned is never touch these autographs, especially like these really nice cards. You never want to touch them because oils on your fingers will make them fade away, and it'll just make the card depreciate in value. So this is, to me, the beginning stage of collecting is when you actually start sleeving your cards and keeping them in your own type of personal collection, or PC. All right, so there is going to be a second part to the beginning process, is when you have your own insert collection that you like to have, like if you want to collect a full insert collection, or you have a player collection or a team collection. I recommend binders when you start out. I recommend binders and these 9x card sleeves that you can buy. The binders, you can usually find a 3-ring binder for like between $4 and $10 on the internet, or even anywhere around your town that like there's a store or whatever. And then the 9 card holders, I usually buy them in packs of 100 for, they're about 35 cents. So what I do is I just take all of the cards, like this is one of my favorite insert collections that I've made is the Into the Wild from 2015 Topps Fire. And I have just, for example, just put a couple into this binder, and then I've also put a couple of my team collection into the binder as well, so that you guys can see how it looks. And then when you're putting a card in, you gotta be very careful because sometimes these 9 sleeves, they can damage your cards if you're not careful. So I'm gonna take this card out of the top sleeve here, and usually just push up from the bottom, and then you grab the card from the side like that. And then what I do is I put a corner of the card in first, and then push the whole card in like this. And you want to make sure that it fits pretty good so that it doesn't slide out, and you want to make sure you're not mashing any corners inside that binder as well when you're putting it in. Alright, so that's all I have to say for the beginning stage. So we're going to go right on to what I like to call the next stage, which is the intermediate stage, and that has to do with like top loaders. So I'm going to get those all ready. Alright, for stage 2, or the intermediate stage of collecting, you're going to need some things called top loaders, and they're basically harder plastic that protects your cards a little bit more than a sleeve. So I have this card in a sleeve right now, and let's say I drop it. My corners have chances of getting dinged, or the card has chances of like getting scratched or anything like that. So when you get a card and you sleeve it, the first thing you want to do before you top load it is grab one of these things right here. Now they come on the back of all these packages of top loaders, and what I did is I just cut this one off, and every time I pull a card that I want to top load, I'll just set the card up next to it like that and measure it so that I know which size of top loader to put it in. So for top loaders, your standard is your 20 point. You can find 25 of those for $3. You can find 100 for $11. Or I normally purchase about every 2 months. I will purchase about 350 of them of the normal standard 20 points, because that's about how many I go through. Once you start collecting more, you will notice that you will go through a ton of them. So I usually just buy them in bulk. And the premium ones, they're a little bit of a thicker plastic, they're rigid. So if I find a card that is worth a little bit more, like $40, $50, $60 range, and I just don't feel like quite magging it, I'll get into the magnetics later, but if I don't feel like magging it, then it will go into this rigid because it protects the card a little bit more than just a standard top loader. So next important, other than the 20 point, is that you'll find you'll use most of is the 138 point, and I will also buy a little bit more of these because I do find that I go through these more, and you can almost get by just getting the normal standards and the 130 points, because most of your memorabilia cards will actually fit in 130 points. So you can buy these they're 138 point for the top loaders. It says right here 138s, and you can buy 10 in a pack for about $4. So that's what I do, is I just buy them in 10 pack cases. So that is, you will find out that most of your memorabilia cards will fit in those more. And then from the 20 points, they just go up in size. So next you have, and I will normally order like one of each of these each time, because they're just for randomly sized cards throughout your opening adventure. So your next point up from 20 is 59, and you can buy a pack of 25 of these for about $4.50. And then your next step up from there is 79. You can buy about 25 of these for $5. Next up, you have 108. 10 of these for about $3. And then your next one is 168 after the 138. And 10 of these for about $4. And then the 197, I buy 10 of these for $4 as well. And then the 240 points, 10 of these for $5. And then these 360 points, I actually have yet to find a 360 point card, so I only ever had to buy one of these, but you can buy one for about $1.50, and they're for a card that is pretty thick. And then after that, you have your booklets. So I actually have yet to find a booklet as well. You can buy about 10 of these in a pack for $8, and they just make your booklets safe and protected. So that is all that is for the top loaders. So I will be next going to stage 3, which is the advanced phase, and those will be more with the magnetic holders. Alright, so before I go into the mags, I am going to demonstrate how to measure and how to put the cards in the top loaders, as well as take one out of a top loader so that you don't ruin your card. So this is a 20 point card. I know that because it's a thin card and it's just a base card. So what I do is I take it and I just set the card right up next to whatever size I think fits it best. And once I figure that out, I will grab the top loader corresponding to that number, which is a 20 point, and then you want to put one corner into the top loader. Careful not to bend anything, and then you want to push it down like this until it gets about that far, and then you can just tap it the rest of the way in, just like that, and it's in your top loader. So for limited, their base cards are a little bit thicker in stock, so they will actually squish if you try to put them in a 20 point. So you have to go another size up, and they fit the 59 point almost perfectly. So I have a 59 point card holder right here. Same game. Put the corner in first, put it in, and tap it down. And then for thicker cards, memorabilia cards, sometimes it's hard to guess. So the only way you can really tell is by measuring it. So I think that it would fit a 79, but it would be a little bit tighter fit, as you can see. So I'm going to be safe with this card, and I'm actually going to go one size up because it looks like it would fit a 108 better. So I have a 108 here, and I will just slide that bad boy in there, get it in there, and then tap it down, just like that. So now your cards are safe, protected. You can drop them. You can accidentally drop them. They're most likely not going to fall out unless you put it in a top loader that's a little bit too big for the card, and then they can slide out. So let's say that you need to give the card to somebody, you want to keep the top loader or anything like that, and you want to take the card out. What I do, and this I find is the safest way to do it, is I will take my other hand here, and I will take this hand, and I will grab the card like this, and I will tap it on my wrist so that the card comes out a little bit of ways, and then you can just grab the top of the sleeve here just like this and pull the card out just like that. So it's still sleeved and the card is not getting damaged, and your card has safely come out of the top loader. Alright, so I'm going to go into the final stage of the hobby. I like to call it the more advanced stage, or the hobby, the full-on hobby stage, where you're actually putting a lot of money into this hobby and you love it, and this is any hobby that you collect cards in. So the magnetic holders are very important for someone that is more advanced into the hobby because they protect your cards to the max. They protect it from sun protection. It even says right here, UV protection, so they don't get damaged by the sun. You can drop them, they don't fall out, unless you throw it across the room as hard as you can. I'm sure the magnetic would pop open, but they just protect your card to the max. And for that, they are a little bit more expensive. So you can buy packs just like this. They come in these boxes here. They're pretty heavy. Like this one's like 2 pounds. But 35 for the magnetics is the basic size, and just like with the top loaders, you are going to be using more of the standards and as well as the 130 points. Now with the magnetics, the way that they number them is a little bit different than the top loaders. So any magnetic that you have, it will say on the back, it will have one of these little cards in here that tell you the size of the card so you can measure your card. And I'll demonstrate that after I go over the prices and everything with you, how to put them in a magnetic. But just know that the magnetics are a little bit different than the top loaders, so you will have to measure your card on this and to determine which one to put it in. You can't use a top loader one. So one pack of 35s comes with 20 holders, and that's about 34 bucks. So then you go on to the next one, which is 55, and a pack of 18 is 35 bucks. And then the next size is 75, and this one comes also in a pack of 18 for 33 bucks. And I buy all these, by the way, on Dave & Adams. You can probably find some elsewhere, but I find these to be the best, the Beckett ones. So I just usually shop on Dave & Adams. I recommend them. They're a really good site. So here we have the 100, which is 16 in the pack for 40 bucks. And then we have the 130, which you will be using more of for your memorabilia cards. And this comes in a pack of 14 for 35 bucks. And then you have your 180s, which comes in a pack of 12 for 30 bucks. And then it shoots from 180 all the way up to 360, which I find insane, but it just the way it works, I guess. And it comes with 8, and it comes with 8 for 20 bucks. And these are some pretty thick magnetic holders. I have yet to have to use one, so, but if I ever find one, I have them ready. So I will be going into demonstrating how to use them. All right. So before I go into the demonstration on how to open a magnetic card holder and how to put a card into it, I am actually going to talk about these screw tops. These are a little bit harder to use because, one, you have to have a screwdriver on hand, and two, you have to have a little bit of a steady hand because these cards do not like to sit in here very well, and if you don't put it in right, you can actually smush your cards in these little corners. I usually use these screw tops, like I don't use them as much as I use the magnetics, but I usually use these screw tops if I'm taking the cards out and I'm showing them to people, because I know if I drop it, this case is not going to pop open at all. It is pretty secure, and the worst that's going to happen is my case cracks and I just have to go buy a new one and put the card in a new one. So the screw tops, there definitely are cons. The cards can slip around. You have to have a screwdriver, like I said, but they do keep your cards nice and tucked in, and I don't really have to worry about dropping them. So now for the magnetic cards, or for the cards I put in magnetics, I usually put some pretty valuable cards in the magnetics. So like here, I have an on card of Daniel Jones, and he's in my collection. As well, I have a 101 Stephon Diggs here. And these are just examples of cards that you'd want to magnetic because you do not want to risk the chance of just sleeving them and putting them off to the side, or even top loading them and putting them off to the side because anything can happen to them. So I'm going to be going into how to magnetic case a card. So I'm going to start off with this basic 35 point. And the nice thing about these magnetic holders is that they come in little packs of 1 in the cases, and every single one has this little card inside of it that lets you measure your cards. So I know if I'm out and about opening somewhere else rather than at home and I don't have one of these available, it's right here every time I open a new one. So I'm going to open this new one here, and I usually just kind of rip it open because, I mean, there's a little slab down here. There we go. And then it just slides out like that. And then what you want to do is you want to, because there's a top on the top here, I don't know if you can see it right there. There's a little slit. I usually just take my fingernail and I put it in there, and it just pops open, just like so. So this card right here, you can keep it. You don't have to if you already have one. So what I find best to do is before I put a card in, I will take one of these card sleeves, and I will actually fold it in half like this. and I'll put it under the card when I put it in. So when you put the card in, I usually put that card sleeve under there because I've heard of people complaining that these magnetic holders actually do kind of scratch your card. I have never seen it, but I have heard of it happening, so it's always better to be safe than sorry. So what I'll do is I'll take one of those so that it's more snug inside of the case so that it doesn't move around as much. And then these little notches on the bottom of the case, what you do is you basically just press the card down so that it's in, and you know it's in tight. And then you want to just hook this, because there's little hooks, and then you want to make sure it's in there nice and snug so you don't smash it, and then you just let it down. And you want to make sure that your card's in there nice and snug, pretty even. I don't have it very even right now, so I need to fix that. It's just trial and error, basically. And sometimes you'll find that the sleeve just kind of makes it so that it's too thick. This card, I'm actually going to take the sleeve out because it's making it hard to put in there. But they usually just set in there just like that, and then you hook them in, and then they clip together. Now, I've never had one of these. I've dropped one, but I've not had one pop open on me. They're usually pretty trustworthy, and the card usually does actually stay in its little slot. So I'm going to go on to a 55 point. So just like with the 35s, one of these comes in there. So, and you also want to make sure that you're using the magnetic card label or the size chart for the magnetics and not the top loaders, because you might accidentally use the wrong size on a card that will not fit in a magnetic loader. So I just take the card and I measure it on here, just like so, and I know that it will fit in a 55 point. So let's see if I can have better luck putting this card sleeve under here. And sometimes I'll even just cut the card sleeve in half so that it's not trying to bend back up on the card. So then it just sets in there like that. And then you take this magnetic here and you hook it in like so. In a second here. There we go. And then you make sure that your card is snug, it fits, just like that. So then we're going to go on to this card here, the thicker card. I have measured it out to be about 100 point is what I have it measured out at. So I'm going to take a 100 point mag here. And just like with the other two, use your nail and you want to open it just like that. Get that little extra piece out there that will let you measure your card. And then you want to take a card sleeve and put it under here. And I mean, if you think that the card sleeve kind of takes away the look of the card inside the mag, there are the ways, like you can draw the card out on a piece of paper, and then you can grab like a knife or something and you can cut the sleeve so that it fits directly under the card, just so that it gives it a little bit more thickness in there so that it's not kind of sliding around, so that it doesn't scratch the card. And then just like with the other two, you take it, you put the little hooks in like so, and then it just magnetics down. And what I do is I usually shake it so that I know that the card is nice and snug in there, so that it's not moving around, it's not catching on anything. And you also want to kind of come up here and try to do a little pull test on it so that you know that the magnetic is going to stay together. So that is my demonstration on what I see the 3 stages of the hobby as, from beginning to intermediate to more of an advanced hobby collector. I had all these obstacles when I first started, and I'm still learning as I go, but this is what I've learned, and I'm sharing that with you guys. So make sure, if you like this video and it gave you any sort of information on how to start collecting or how to start your own hobby at all, make sure you subscribe to my channel and turn on the notifications when I post more videos, because I do open cards as well as I might be trying to give some more, no promises, but I might be trying to give some more educational videos on what I've learned throughout the hobby and what I can teach you guys. So I'd like to thank you guys for watching this video. If you enjoyed, leave a thumbs up. Make sure you have a good day.